Where'd we leave off? I don't want to. Now we
I'm getting back
refilled our
from
drinks.
Copacabana.
All right. And he was Copa, and he was Jacob.
So I got back to New York City, and I have to start going to auditions again. Good times. But this time it's a little bit easier. It doesn't take as long. People know me now,
Really?
Yeah, because once you're into that clique, it's like by word of mouth, choreographers talk to one another.
Again, having a good
ethic.
attitude and work ethic, and this guy is
Absolutely.
okay to work with. You should give him a job because he'll show up every day.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's so
I kind of
important.
figured that's one of the bigger things when it comes to casting. In talking with
Absolutely.
the professionals that have done this, there's a lot of, the casting director has a lot of pressure on them to also cast correctly.
Oh, yeah.
And if they cast the wrong person, now their job's on the line. And if they're like, this Jacob guy, he shows up every day. So that's already a plus.
Yeah.
Give him
And
a job.
Again, you're living in this bubble of performing, so you have to be able to get along with people.
Yeah.
And if you're
good.
going to cause problems within a cast, you're not going to survive.
Yikes.
So it is all about relationships and, again, keeping your focus and doing what you're supposed to do. So I go to this audition for the show called Fosse. Again, it's a tour.
Robert Fosse?
Bob Fosse.
Robert?
Mr. Fosse.
Mr. Fosse?
So they...
From Birdcage, that's all I think of. Fosse,
Exactly.
Fosse.
Exactly. Twyla. So they did the big Broadway show. It was beautiful, and now they're taking it on tour.
Wait, is it called Beautiful or is it a beautiful show?
No, it's a beautiful show called Fosse.
Okay, thank you.
It's literally just called Fosse.
Okay.
And all it is dance numbers from all of his shows. There's not really a character that you follow or anything. It's like you do a number from Liza with a Z. You do a number from Chicago. You do a number from Damn Yankees, from Cabaret. It's just all these, and it's everything from Broadway to what he did
Damn
on television.
Yankees is a Fosse show? I didn't know that.
It is.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, see? Learning. I'm learning.
He's been around a while.
Exactly. What he did in the movies, what he did on television, what he did in specials, so it's all this different. When it was on Broadway, it was in 3 acts. That's how long it was.
Oh, wow.
For the tour, they cut it down to 2. But Anne Reinking was involved. So I go into this audition with Anne Reinking. And
Tom knows her.
yes.
Well, I know she is. Personally, I don't
She was
know.
in
man.
Cocoon.
What? She was? Which one was she in Cocoon?
Gwen was
One of
in
the old
Cocoon.
people.
One of the old ladies in Cocoon?
Everyone was
Anyway,
Nice.
so
They were all like 42, by the way, just to tell you. It's terrible.
stage makeup. So, I really want this show, and it's a huge dance show. I love his style.
Obviously.
I want it. So
Everybody wants
I put all of my eggs into one basket, and I get it.
Amazing.
And they hire me as the swing of the show,
Oh, wow.
which means
That's huge.
there are 13 guys in the show. I am guaranteed 3 numbers every night. I'm in the opening number, I'm the lead boy in the frug in the middle of the show, and I'm in the last number. But then I have to learn 13 other parts.
All of them, yeah.
And the rest of my show can change every night. And it did.
Amazing.
Wow.
Sometimes I was in 6 numbers. Sometimes I was in 4 numbers. Sometimes I did 1 number and then did 3 numbers. And it was
the most you
crazy.
did in one night?
8 numbers in one.
8.
How many numbers
8
were
of
there?
them.
Again, I don't know if
13.
that's a big number. Is there? How
13.
many? There's
I think there were
13
13, yeah,
13
yeah.
numbers, and you did 8 of them?
Yeah.
And that's a lot? That's a lot?
Sure.
So,
You paid extra
Maybe
for
doing
that?
back to back and a few times.
oh, it was amazing.
Are you in the union yet? I should ask that question.
This is still a non-equity tour.
Oh my gosh, you're just
I know.
abusing. So they're not paying you any extra to do all this.
Well, they were, because swings do get a little bit more.
Okay.
And now this is an international tour. So we go perform in Paris with Ben Vereen.
Nice.
We go to England and perform with Ruthie Henschel's in the show out there. Claire Sweeney's in the show over there. We go to Athens, Greece.
How
and
how many days a week are you doing stuff? Are you able to
we
go
are
out
performing.
and see
We are
Athens?
performing
you able
6
to-
days a week.
Oh no, so you can't really see anything.
Well, we have. We're living in Paris. We were living in Paris for a month.
And the show's not till 7:30 anyway.
Exactly.
Right?
I was going to say we
Okay.
had our days completely free.
Okay, you can go out for lunch and have some baguettes.
Absolutely,
and stuff. Nice.
absolutely.
Good. Rough life, you
It
performers.
was amazing. I loved it. We lived in England for 8 weeks. Then we went to Greece and opened the Olympics when it was back in Athens.
No.
Yes.
You were at that
We
one?
were there.
Oh my
so
gosh.
if we went back and looked for a tape on the...
You would find us. We
would
performed.
we find you?
You did not.
Yes, you
You
would. You would
performed
find-
in
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
Olympics?
We performed in the opening ceremonies. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. So it was an amazing tour. And I toured with that for 2 years. I just loved it. I came home. It was done. The tour ended then. I came home.
Boy, you needed Instagram then, so you could have all these posts up everywhere.
Instagram wasn't a thing back then.
Right, so all these people you went to high school with could be like, look at Jacob go. What the
Exactly.
heck?
You're all gonna have to listen to this in favor.
Oh, yeah, okay, I hate him already. But like, nobody knew you were doing anything, obviously, right?
They thought, oh, whatever happened to that guy?
Thank God, I don't have to see his face anymore.
So the show ended after 2 years.
Came home. I'm thinking, I'm going to have to do this audition thing all over again now. Here we go. A friend of mine called me. He was directing a show in Pennsylvania at a place called the Mountain Playhouse. And I could get my equity card.
Oh, finally.
Nice.
Being the dance captain of Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat.
That's an amazing story.
So I went to Pennsylvania. I was there for, I think it was 6 weeks, like a 3-week rehearsal and 3-week run. And I had my equity card.
There you go.
Finally.
Ding, 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 ding.
Finally.
was
They probably
amazing.
paid you nothing and worked you like a dog just to earn that equity card, probably, right?
Well, luckily I was dance captain and some other things, so it was pretty good. It was a pretty
Didn't have to work
pretty
as
nice
hard.
gig.
Then. Yeah.
And then it turned out that they liked me so much that I became a choreographer for them, and I went back to that same theater for like 12 years, and I was their like summer choreographer because it was just a summer theater. That's all they did was summer
Right.
shows.
Summer stock. Stuff,
Exactly,
yeah.
exactly.
Each story has the one main thing in it. A friend of mine called, a guy I met at this place.
It was always-
They liked me here. You're being a good person throughout all this.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's what the main story
It's
is
all
of
about
all
connections.
this. Yep.
The main, you're right, Tom. Main thing is he just worked hard and was a decent person, and people liked him. Gosh darn it!
I liked it.
So we did our Pennsylvania gig.
So we did our Pennsylvania gig, and then I came back to New York City. I got to work with, at that point, now I'm making a name for
Like
myself.
how many like months are you gone out of New York City? Like you have this apartment, but you're like gone for months at a time.
Oh, I was gone more than I was ever in that apartment.
Okay, so what do you do with this apartment the whole time? You had to finally.
Well, I did
sublease
have
your-
one roommate. There were two of us there.
Yeah,
So he was
sublease
there.
This dang apartment all this time, huh?
We never subleased it.
Really?
I just had this phobia of like people going through my stuff. People,
So you just paid the rent all the time and just said hell with it. Huh?
I did.
Okay, I was just curious.
But I couldn't. I got by.
Yeah.
I will say there were some years that I look back and I lived in New York City on $12,000 in a whole year.
Ouch.
Wow.
And that's like
That's the cost of rent
literally
the entire time.
living frugally.
That's rent and
Basically,
it.
I mean, I
Rent
think
and
at that
ramen.
point I was paying maybe $600 in rent a month.
Oh.
So it wasn't quite,
which is half of it.
but it was half of it.
Still, can you get that for rent now in New York City?
No,
Yeah, exactly.
absolutely
Yeah, it's
not.
like $900 minimum
Absolutely,
probably
yeah.
for a room.
For a room, exactly.
Yeah.
So, I got back to the city and all of a sudden I'm working with people like Frank Wildhorn and I'm working with Jerry Mitchell. And
good old Jerry.
I got to do, like the first workshops for Hairspray and then worked
What?
with him on Legally Blonde. And
What?
Yeah. So I was meeting all these people. Laura
Legally
Bell Bundy.
Blonde. Like, how much on Legally Blonde were you? Like, was this early on or was this like
This was early on.
This
Because
is
Cassio Kanka from here also was on the Search for the Next Elle Woods.
So that was...
Where were you on that one, Jacob? You should have cast her.
Well, that was later. That was after
Oh, okay,
we opened and everything because my friend Paul Kanan was big on that as well.
Wow, that's crazy.
But yeah, no, I was more of the pre-planning and getting up to opening night, and assisted him with that. And then I worked with Casey Nicola a little bit, and I worked with I got to do all this. I was doing a lot of workshopping things, and like. Because people knew my work ethic and at that point my talent, I was able to like be in the workshop and like figuring out shows and before they went to Broadway. So, all of that was so much fun and working with that Hairspray cast and working with the Legally Blonde cast and, still friends with all of those people. And then finally, Kathleen Marshall called me and said, hey, do you want to be my assistant on Grease? And I was like, duh.
another duh.
So Kathleen Marshall, I don't know how much you know about her.
No.
but her brother Robbie Marshall is who does all of the big movie musicals. He did 9 and he did all these live action now, Little Mermaid and all that stuff. Robbie Marshall
Wow.
directed.
What? Nice.
Yeah.
Is it like Penny Marshall relation?
No.
No.
Okay.
But Rob Marshall and Kathleen Marshall are brother and sister. So Kathleen is more of a Broadway person and grew up, performing, and now she's directing. Because the other thing is, if you think about Broadway and the directors, there's a handful of directors. There's Jerry Mitchell. There's Kathleen Marshall. There is
there's only a handful of
Susan
directors.
Stroman. Yeah,
Stroman, yeah.
they all kind of do all the shows.
Gotcha.
Casey Nicola. I can't think of all of them. Anyway, so she says there's going to be this television show called You're the One That I Want. And America is going to search for the next Danny and Sandy on Broadway.
That's crazy.
So we get to do choreography for that show, and Andrew Lloyd Webber's on there, and they bring in all these. Oh yeah, as judges, like all these people. It's crazy.
You're affiliated with this?
Yes, of course.
What the heck?
So
You're from Oregon, Ohio. What the heck?
I know, it's crazy. So there were
Clay
12
Eagles.
boys and
That
12
doesn't
girls.
make any sense.
And they got down to the finals, and Laura Osnes and Max Crum won, and they got their year contract. So we put them into the Broadway show. We spent 10 weeks putting up a Broadway show, which is crazy to me because I was so used to doing 2 weeks and being done. But yeah, 10 weeks to put up Grease.
Wow.
Which played where?
It was in, what theater were we in? 46th Street. It was,
One of the 12.
One of the
Yeah.
one of the theaters.
Sorry.
But it was.
Because none of the, there's one Broadway theater on Broadway. None of them
Yeah,
are.
that's your friend.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I noticed that when I was in the
Yeah,
mall.
that's true. Pay attention when I go there.
So we doing a Broadway show is such a different experience because, back in the day when Broadway tickets were $45 or $25, there was one producer and, that was it. It was easy to do a show. Now it takes so much money to put up a Broadway show. I mean, we're talking, guys, it took $12 million to put up
millions.
Spider-Man, Grease wasn't $12 million, but it's still
Yeah, it's like $1 million
millions of
a week to do a
Hence
Broadway
why
show. Yeah.
Broadway tickets are now the least amount you're going to pay for a Broadway ticket is $125.
Right. And I happily
Broadway
pay.
roulette.
Roulette,
What a roulette.
exactly.
I pay the $125. I'm good to go.
Exactly.
I like sitting there and enjoying the shows, man.
But you now have 20, 30 producers on a show. And what that means, depending on how much money they give to the production, they get to come in and take notes and give them to us to incorporate so we were doing a show called Grease. Everybody knows Grease.
Yeah. What is there?
What
to
year
change?
is Grease set in?
Yeah, the 50s.
50s, 60s, right? Do you remember something called a flat top haircut?
Sure.
One
No.
of the producers has a note. I really think you should take that line out because no one really knows what that is anymore. It's not getting the laugh.
I don't even know what that means. Flat top haircut?
It was just a haircut that was high and tight. So
High and tight. I know
and
high
then
and
it was
tight.
flat on top of their head, the boys.
Okay.
It was a boy haircut. But if you're from that era, you know what it is and it makes sense to the show.
Yeah.
If we're doing a show set in that era,
Yeah, it makes sense.
we should teach the younger generation what that is.
Nothing wrong with
So you just now, instead of having one voice, it's what I like to call theater by committee.
Yeah,
And each one has to get their 2 cents in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Because they want to feel important. And I
Right.
understand that. As much money as they're giving, I understand. But it sometimes takes the art or the heart out of theater.
Right.
So
This
I
is a
have
show
to
that's already
say-
been produced and already done. It's not like it's even a new
millions
show. Why
of times.
are you changing anything?
Exactly. So as much as I loved it and as much of an amazing experience it was, there's something to be said about me still going out to Pennsylvania, away from New York City, in this little old grist mill that sat, 200 people maybe, and getting to do these shows that were just had so much heart to them because we got to make up, we set Joseph in the Dust Bowl in the Depression, and it just, that sounds crazy, but
This is the Amazing Dreamcoat one?
yes,
Joseph,
In the Dust Bowl?
in a Dust Bowl during the Depression instead of doing,
Interesting. Okay, all right.
because Joseph is one of those shows that you can do anything. You know, I've seen people have cereal boxes in the show. You know, just it can be colorful and bright and crazy, and it can be dark and depressive if you want it to be. You know, but being away from New York City, you're able to do that. Whereas in New York City, you're under the microscope, and there's reviewers, and you know, you're worried about bottom line with the dollars, and you know, that's why shows close sometimes the day after they open. You know, and so there's a lot of pressure. As much as I love it and it's amazing, there's
it's
a
still
lot
a
of pressure.
business. It's still a business. And if nobody's going to the show, then you gotta.
Then you're gonna put in Melanie Griffith. You know, why is she in Chicago?
Bring
I
Hugh
don't know.
Jackman in. You know? Hugh Jackman will save every show. Apparently, it's like.
So, I have a love-hate relationship with New York City. I absolutely loved.
Are you
being
still
there.
living there?
I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not.
You finally gave up your apartment you weren't living in?
Gave up my apartment back when COVID hit, you know.
Oh, yeah.
It just was, New York really was hit hard.
Yeah.
And I couldn't be there anymore. And
anybody that's been in New York and lives in New York or at all, that's a tight city, man.
It is.
When you can't go out and can't do stuff, that's rough.
Absolutely. And, you know, back in my day when I was doing all these auditions, you had to be in New York City. It was the center of our theater universe. Sure. If you wanted to be in a show, you had to be there. You had to go to an audition. Times have changed so much. There's people that do Zoom call auditions now, you know, from their bedroom in Oregon, Ohio. You know, yeah, it's so.
You think they
different.
can do that, or do you think it makes a difference still to be in New York to do them?
Personally,
yeah,
I feel that you don't really get to know a person or their talents over a Zoom call.
That makes sense because like auditioning and everything, I mean, it's like, what are you doing? How many times do you do that audition? Like some of these like mail-in auditions or whatever. It's like, how many?
Absolutely.
What's the live feel? Are you actually good, or did you hit that note one time out of 20?
Exactly.
Let's figure that out.
And it's funny now that I've become a director choreographer, I love to throw little changes in there. Like I will teach a dance combination, and at the very last minute, I will change something on them just to see who can adjust. Because that, like you said, people learn stuff, learn their audition material so well.
Absolutely.
That all you're seeing is their best, which is great.
Well, I hate to be mean to people, but there is that too, where they go and they do this one song that they're so good at.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, they're amazing. And then they come in for the actual show and it's like, wow, they're not actually as good as their audition was.
Absolutely.
But they really nailed that audition really, really, really well because it's the song that they know how to sing really, really well. That's not the same.
It's so true. So I like to mix it up on them a little bit. So I had this New York experience. I loved it. It was amazing. But then, you know, at that point, I'm transitioning now to more of a director choreographer.
Yeah, now you're not even performing
I'm
anymore.
not even performing.
It's like we said, what's your biggest thing you ever done? And you didn't even say the show that you did in Hairspray. You didn't even say like these. What was your first Broadway show that you got in?
Copacabana.
Copacabana. You didn't even bring up Copacabana.
No.
It's like you didn't bring that up. You said I was a choreographer for a show.
Well, that's the funny thing about performers. You know, even we're only as great as our last show. I mean, it's sad to say that, but it's like I still don't feel like I've made it. You know,
I never heard of you.
Exactly. Well, that's just it.
No,
you know? It's the curse about being a performer. You know,
right?
I could tell you the list of things I've done, the awards that I've won, but I still don't.
Well, that's
feel
the thing.
like,
When I read your article in the City Paper, I was like, how do I not know this guy? He's done some really great things.
He's from here.
And he's from
Right. That's the point. It's like he's from here.
Yeah.
You know, he lived in Oregon. My kids did all the OCT kids shows over there.
Yep.
I'm great friends with Beth and Hans Giller who do the theater over there. I was
gosh,
like, we know those people.
Yeah.
How do I not know Jake? How is this possible that this guy came from this area and apparently is like good friends with Ward Ensign too?
Absolutely.
And it's like, what? And knows Amy Hearing. It's like, what is going on
Mary
here?
Brucker is one of my best friends.
Mary Brucker. It's like, how do I not know this guy? So then I find him on Facebook, and we have 127 mutual friends. And I'm like, I'm gonna friend this guy.
Yeah.
Okay, this doesn't make any sense.
So the stalking began.
Well, watch. Hey man, I got a theater podcast, and I'm like, this guy is a theater dude. I'm friend requesting him. I don't know how I'm not already aware of this person's existence. You know, it's like that doesn't make any sense. So it's like it's just crazy what you've done, though, for you to sit there and say, well, I did these Broadway things, but really what I am most proud of or most excited about is this show where I'm a choreographer.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you went and did 3B.
You know, and then I even, so between those two things that you just mentioned, ran a theater down in North Carolina for 3 years.
Really? Which
Yeah.
theater?
It was called the Encore Theater in Southern Pines.
Okay.
I was the artistic director there.
Ron, the other guy who's not here, his son is a technical director for a theater in North Carolina. That's why I asked.
Nice.
I'm like, what are the odds?
I was first at the Temple Theater in Sanford, North Carolina for a little while.
Oh, okay.
As the education director. So eventually, in performing, all of us have to decide what our next. Now, that's not true. There are people that, are older and are still performing.
Mm-hmm.
Andrew Lloyd Webber sometimes comes to his show and kicks them all out because, it becomes a job and they're not doing their job. But there's a time that you have to decide being a performer or being a director choreographer.
Right.
There's a transition that happens and people don't take you seriously if you're trying to do both. Like at first I was trying to still perform
really?
and wanting to be a director choreographer. And Kathleen Marshall in particular said to me, Jacob,
Pick one.
this one, our world of director choreographers are not going to take you serious if you're still trying to perform.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know.
So
you
you
can't
kind
be
of-
Mel Gibson and try and do everything.
Yeah, no,
Okay,
you can't. You kind of have to, make the transition. And so I, again, was at an audition. I was like,
I could do that better.
well, they were like, okay, who has, the turns in second and can do them, 7 shows a week? And I was like, no. I don't want to do that anymore.
7 days a week.
Yeah. Let the 18-year-old do that.
Yeah,
I'm
I was
good.
going to say,
I'm good.
is that what it was? Basically?
was.
You're
It
just
literally
like,
was.
Man, I've done this. For
Yeah, no, I don't need to do that.
Like, I'm 32.
I can teach
man.
it. I'm going to do it once, and all of you watch me.
Yeah, you're like, I'm
Because
32 years
attention.
old.
I'm going to
really
do it
don't
once,
wanna
and then
do
you
it
guys
anymore.
can do it as many times as you want. So yeah, I kind of made that transition into director choreographer.
I think
worked.
that's a very natural and mature progression.
It is, and it's not. When you think about how many performers there are, some of them don't know how to teach.
Oh no, that's true.
Yeah.
That is 100% true.
Just
you can
transition
do it.
out of.
Yeah, I'm saying for
performing, that's
you to
true.
be like, look, I still want to be in this industry. I still want to do this stuff. This is something I love. But at the same time, I don't want to be on the road eating my dinner on a bus.
It's
7
just like
nights a week.
sports. Not all players can be a coach.
Yes. But
Absolutely.
To me, it's also like you just can't. Yeah, not all players can be a coach, and that's absolutely true. And that's the deal with what you're saying. But also, it gets to a point where you're like, I just can't constantly do this on the road forever, all the time.
No.
I think that's a natural transition.
Yeah.
Unless you're one of
And
the,
even
like,
doing it in New York
toppity-top
City
people.
all
Yeah.
the time, because you're going to the theater again 6 days a week. It becomes a job.
But you're still not
course.
just in Oregon, Ohio.
No.
Oh no! He's never in Oregon.
Yeah,
I know.
That's why I can't get him here to come here anymore.
So, when I finally made the decision to become a director choreographer, then I was traveling a lot to regional theater because, again, there's only 12 theaters in New York City. There is Kathleen Marshall, Jerry Mitchell. Even though they're a little bit older than me, they're still my contemporaries. I'm still in that wave that hasn't shifted that all of a sudden Jacob Toth can become the newest, hottest choreographer.
Mm-hmm.
That's not going to happen. So I get more work going to Portland, Oregon, to Portland, Maine, to Miami, Florida, to Birmingham, Alabama, to all these different regional
Where were
theaters.
you at right
What a
before you
great
came
gig,
here?
really.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it. Again, you go to these cities, you're there for 3 or 4 weeks teaching a show.
But
move on
that's
to the
your
next
life,
one.
though. So
I
anybody who
loved
wants
it.
to do this has to understand that's
Yeah.
what the job probably
It is. It is.
Is you can't be like, I'm going to have a house on 42nd in Maple. It's like, probably
No.
not.
No.
You may have that house, but you're going to not be there.
Yeah.
Is what you're telling me.
And there's not a lot of. I haven't found a city yet where I could work year round doing what I love
Right.
to do, and afford it.
Right. They may need you for a show.
Yeah.
And then you go to the next town for the next
but we
show.
only do 3 shows a year, Jacob. What?
Okay.
Yeah, that's not gonna pay my bills.
Yeah. How much you got to pay me for those 3
Yeah.
shows?
So you have to be willing to go.
30,000 a show. Great. I'll
Yep.
take it.
I get back in touch with Royal Caribbean because I was a performer and they loved me. So, I could direct and choreograph for them. So now I'm going out on a cruise ship for 2 weeks to put up a show. And then I'm
Really?
going, oh yeah. So
So really, it's your
the business of the business,
flexibility is
the business
key.
of the business is to create work for yourself
Okay.
because no one's going to create it for you.
What's
no
that
matter
mean?
how
do you do
good
that?
you
How do
are.
you create work for yourself? I guess.
you get in touch. You make those relationships. So I call Royal Caribbean and I'm like, hey.
You
guys-
called them? They were
Yes!
like, here's a job opening.
No.
You were like, hey, I
called
need
them
a job.
because I realized that all the guys and girls that I performed with are now running the company. They're
Nice.
like the entertainment director, and they're like,
Why aren't you the entertainment director?
well, I don't want to sit down in one place. I got that travel bug that I love so much. I don't want to be in one place too long. So, but I know all those people. You know, they were my roommates when we were performing on ships together and all that stuff. And again, keeping those relationships.
Wow.
I called them and I'm like, what can I do? So now they're like, well, we need this. Okay.
There you go.
I'm on my way.
I'm on my way.
Like, we haven't even posted a job yet on Indeed, but here's what we're gonna need.
Yeah.
So there you
And
go.
at this point,
one less job for us.
Royal
to
Caribbean
post.
has become so big and they have so many ships.
Right.
And now the ships have parades on them and ice shows and aqua shows and theater shows. Oh, yes. They have flying. They have comedians. They have stilt walkers.
What
Do I
Royal
know-
Caribbean ship was I on? I don't remember stilt walkers.
Clearly, you're not going on the good ones.
I guess not.
And the thing about being a performer, you just say yes.
Okay.
Jacob, we need you to put together a synchronized swimming routine. Okay.
A synchronized what?
Synchronized swimming routine.
Can you swim?
Jacob, do you know how to synchronize swimming?
Synchronized
No, but I'll figure it out.
Swimming routine.
Yes,
They
so-
don't need a synchronized swimmer to actually come
Well,
up
he
with
did.
that routine.
He did work at Olympics once.
Exactly.
Boom! There you go. He's
Well,
like, let me tell you,
you
I
know-
opened up the
I opened up the
Olympic for
Olympics, so,
Greece.
we can-
you
we
know.
can-
So again, creating work for yourself. I get the gig, and then I can hire my friend Paula, who's a synchronized swimming coach, and I can hire Mikhail, who's the diving coach. You know,
wow.
and I put this team together that now we're on the Icon of the Seas, the world's largest cruise ship, and I've created the show called Pirates vs. Mermaids, and I've got 6 dancers, 6 divers, 4 synchronized swimmers, 3 slackline, 3 skateboarders, 2 hand balancers, and I'm putting together the show.
Nice. I feel like the Pirates would win. They got cannons.
You know what? Whoever does the high dive wins. So one time it's the girls and one time it's the boys because we have to spread the love.
Oh, the Pirates are all boys? Is that what you're saying?
Well, the pirates are all boys and all the mermaids are girls, which is kind of lame.
So
but
sexist.
that wasn't my choice. So, it
Merman. Okay,
Nope.
I'm just saying.
not on Royal Caribbean. So, and then I got to create parades, and then we had DreamWorks on board the ship, and so I was choreographing Alex the Lion, and I was
way,
choreographing the
you were doing
Trolls.
Madagascar?
Absolutely, we had Madagascar, Shrek, Trolls. I think that's everybody.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and I was working with all those kids.
You've done
you know?
such amazing, crazy things. I love it.
Well, I've always been told never say no. You never know what it's going to lead to.
Well, that's great advice right there.
Right?
Never say no.
Never say no.
You never know. Wait,
You
what?
never know what it's going to lead to.
Never say no. You never
It
know.
works. Don't
No,
worry,
say
Kyle.
no.
just agree.
Never
No to say no.
Say no.
Exactly.
Gotcha. All right.
So then COVID hits.
Well,
Yeah, so I'm on a cruise ship, and they're like,
the
everyone
worst possible
is
thing to be
kicked
on a
off the
COVID.
ship.
Yeah.
You're going home, and I'm like, oh my god, what am I gonna do? And what are my choices? It's like, okay, do I go back to New York City? And my roommate calls and he's like, Jacob, don't come back here.
Don't come back.
The city is shut down.
Right.
Yeah.
We got to have an app to even get into a restaurant.
At this point, my parents are living half the year here in Oregon and half the year in Tampa, Florida, Sun City Center, Florida. They have 2 homes. And they're down in Florida right now, or when COVID hits.
Right.
He's like, go be with your parents. So February 12th, 13th, something like that, I moved down to Florida, and I'm with my parents until August of that year. Which is wonderful, but crazy all
What
at
do
the
you
same
do
time.
for insurance?
I don't have insurance. I haven't had insurance for years.
So you just have to hope you don't get like
Sick, dead,
Yeah.
anything, yeah.
Yeah.
And at this point, I don't have any work. So I become an Instacart shopper.
nice.
Let me tell you what
You
my
have
acting skills
such
have
a
brought me.
glamorous life that you're living.
Well,
As an
dancing
Instacart
around
shop.
your work.
You're like, I'm sorry, they don't have the French vanilla
Don't be
fat
jealous.
free. They only have the French vanilla sugar free.
But
Would
I
you
have to
substitute
say,
that?
what's amazing is that I'm in a retirement community during COVID. Being an Instacart driver, I was banking it, people.
I bet in a retirement community they
'Cause
can't
all
leave
those
their
people
house.
couldn't go out?
No,
Exactly.
No, we can't. It's instant death if they try to leave.
So I did that for February to August. In August, a theater down in North Carolina, the Encore Theater, called me. Is that right? Yeah. And asked me to come
You're like, what's my life?
what did I do? Be their artistic director. So I went down and I ran a theater for 3 years. And at that time, again, creative process. How do we do theater during COVID?
So 3 years you ran a theater in
North Carolina.
Like, what's ran a theater mean?
Like literally, I was picking the shows, I was casting, I was directing and choreographing, I was doing costumes, I was doing it all.
You were doing it all. You were like one person doing everything.
There were 3 full-time employees. There were 3 of us. My stage manager, myself.
Okay, stage manager. You need a stage manager. Yeah.
Duh, she needs to organize it.
Yeah. You're not doing that crap. You're just somebody.
And then this guy that kind of did sound and lights, and he did some building, and I don't know.
Oh yeah, scenic designer, a stage manager, and you.
Yeah.
And they're like, Jacob,
theater,
teach everybody to dance and sing and act.
well, the
That's
theater
all.
also was attached to a studio. So it was an old funeral home that they converted into a studio and a theater.
Okay.
So that we would train these kids and teach acting, singing, dancing, the instruments, all this stuff. And we were kind of grooming them to then come across the room to the theater.
Is this a community, like the whole community theater?
It is.
type thing?
It is really. It's in Southern Pines, which is Pinehurst, where all the golfing takes place. You know.
Yeah. Tom knows that.
Yeah. So it's down there, and I'm literally doing like 6 shows a year. I'm doing 7 shows a year.
7 shows a year.
3
at
shows
this
in the
theater?
summer.
Wow.
8 shows because I did 5 shows. My season was 5 shows,
Like
and
a
then I
Christmas
did
show in there. Yeah.
2 shows in the summer, but I did a third cast because I did one. So I would like open with Moana. I would do then a kids show like what was that? Reading Rainbow. I can't think of. Lolly, lolly, lolly. Get your adverts here. What was that show?
I don't know.
Rock.
Yes,
Lolly, lolly,
Schoolhouse
Schoolhouse
Rock.
Rock.
Yes. So I did Moana, and then I did Schoolhouse Rock, and then I did another Moana. So it was only 2 shows, but it was 3, technically 3. And then my season was 5. So I don't know if you guys know this. Regional theaters, their season is normally.
Again, we don't know a lot. So
their season is normally August. It's the school year. It's
School year,
August to May.
Yeah, okay.
And then summer is so most theaters, well, like here in Oregon, like most theaters are getting ready to open their seasons now because we're getting into the fall.
Right.
Because you don't open in the summer, you open in the fall and you
Right.
run to the spring,
Right.
and then you do your summer shows. So I did 5 shows from the fall to the spring, and then I did my 3 summer shows, and I did that for 3 years.
Wow.
So you had your 3 shows, then you plan. Did you pick the shows? Did you do
it
everything?
all.
So they were like, Jacob, it's all on you.
I did have a board, you know.
Okay.
I ran things by them,
ran
but
past them.
but
and
again,
you said,
they-
I
well-
want to do Avenue Q, and they said, no, you can't do Avenue Q. You have to do Annie.
I loved
You
my
know, that
board,
kind of
but
thing.
you know, if you know anything about a theater, when you get a board, you normally try to have local business people. You want a lawyer, you want a banker, you know, people that
a lawyer. Why do
pers-
you want a lawyer for? That sounds like the worst person I'd want on there.
well,
No, I think for legal reasons.
Oh,
For the
legal
best
reasons.
person.
Oh, okay.
this
yeah.
is your board. This is not, you know, but at the same time, like you just said, now you're expecting that person to try to pick a season for you of
Right,
shows.
yeah.
And they're like, what are shows? You're like, oh my God.
Yeah, they don't know any of the shows at all.
So
So there's Bad
luckily-
As Me. I'd be like, Bad As Me 3 years ago. I'd be like, what? I've never heard of the show. You're in town.
Right.
What?
Yeah. So luckily, you know, with my experience, they put a lot of trust in me that I could say to them,
I would have
this
to.
is what I think we should do. And they would be like, yeah, that sounds great. Now, when I wanted to do the prom, they weren't for it. But it's fine. It's fine.
Really?
We won't go there.
Was this in Eastern Ohio all of a sudden? Now
No,
it's in North
you
Carolina
have to
the same
remember,
way?
I'm at Fort Bragg.
Oh.
Oh,
Yeah. I mean, Fort Bragg is like,
military.
Yeah, military.
yeah,
Yeah,
presented.
I just saw the prom by the
I just
the
auditioned
rep.
for
It
the
was
prom, but we'll get there.
beautiful. We're gonna get there. All right, I'm gonna take a pee break. We're
I
gonna
know.
keep going. Yeah.
So I ran the theater, you know, and had a great time. I'm living above the theater in what would have been the coroner's, or, you know,
I already love that
know.
you're living above the theater, though.
it's haunted. It's crazy. I love it.
Of course.
So my parents come down to see a show. We're doing Around the World in 80 Days.
Oh, okay.
5 people in the cast doing 27 rolls, something like that.
Okay, yeah. With the hot air balloons and all that.
All
good
of
stuff.
that. My parents get there. That night, my mom falls down 18 stairs from my apartment
Oh my Lord.
down to the street level. We end up at Duke University Hospital. She's in hospital for 55 days.
It's like she doesn't know you have a show to put on.
No,
She's
trying to steal all my thunder.
She's so inconvenient.
Still mad at her about it.
Mom, it's about me. What the heck? You know,
So she's in hospital for 55 days. And we're talking
55 days.
Broken arm,
Yikes.
shattered wrist, partially scalped, 39
That's-
staples in her head,
Wow.
collapsed lung, C1 and C7 are fractured.
Wait.
It was a mess.
She
This
was,
She was lucky
pressing
to be
high
alive.
dive out of that one.
This was 18 stairs
Mm-hmm.
and all of that. So she fell face first. Sounds
Tumble
like.
down.
Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah.
So I make fun, but
She's
now I feel
78 years
bad.
old at this point.
Yeah, she's
Not
got
good.
skin like tissue.
Yes.
Yeah.
So 55 days into rehab, back into hospital to have her C1 and her C7.
These are
spinal, neck spinal.
bones.
Yes. What's it called when they put a screw into the skull? Fuse.
I don't know what that's called.
She had neck fusion.
Oh my gosh.
Back into rehab. So that happened in February. I was able to get her back down to Florida in June. And at this point, I kind of realized that I've gotten the theater as far as I can get it. I'm not.
Okay.
It's a community theater. I love them. I wish them all the best, but there's not much more I can do for them. I've set them up to succeed.
You always have ants in your pants, so
Exactly.
you're always trying to move on to the next big thing.
Yeah, and I know that mom and dad need me now, so I'm gonna. be
That's
with them.
actually kind of a cool quality about
Yeah,
you. Honestly,
well,
I feel like you're
Midwest.
You're well, yeah. Obviously, you love your mom.
Yeah.
You're going to do these great things for her, but also you're also like, I need to do something else. Like
Yeah.
you get to a point and you're like, okay, I've done this for a hot minute. Let's see what else is out there.
Yeah.
That's kind of a cool quality about you as well.
It's
I
kind of
think.
fun.
No, I really do think that's a cool quality. You're like, okay, I've been here. I've told some people I work with, it's like, look, you've been here for a minute, and don't be me and be trapped somewhere for like, oh, I've been here for how long?
Yeah.
Oh no,
It happens.
you don't want to be that.
Exactly.
You know, so you've managed to somehow figure out like I need to move
done,
on
yeah,
to the next
I've
thing.
done what.
But that's a kind of a, I don't want to say weird, but it's different. Most people want the stability.
Yeah,
It's true.
And
No,
that's-
that's
and
right,
that's-
Tom. You're 100%
It's true.
right.
It's true.
Most people want to have like an address that they can,
Yeah.
Right.
sit
And
at.
again, I think from my gypsy background, just always being
Should have brought my tambourine.
exactly always being on the go and always being
That's
somewhere.
amazing.
It's just something that I did. So that was 2022. So now I moved down to Florida. I'm with my parents, and because they're snowbirds, I'm now a snowbird. So
Are you seriously a snowbird?
It's true. I spent half the year here and half the year in Florida.
Oh,
And 2 years ago, we came up in the fall, and I was at a football game, and I ran into none other than Hans Giller.
no way.
And he tells me that they're
Love
doing
Hans.
that they're doing Young Frankenstein
Yeah.
at OCT, and they need some men in the show.
Oh, we actually, I think we did.
No,
that
we
podcast.
did the audition.
We did the auditions for that.
Yeah.
So
We're
I
at
didn't
that.
audition. I was just asked to be in the production.
Oh, fancy pants Jacob is like, let me tell you, I have equity. So like, I'm a professional at crap.
No one knew me, or not that no one.
You
knew
were
me.
in that show?
Yeah. So I.
Tom, why didn't you go to that show?
I don't know. I really wanted to.
Why am I not? I hate
So
Hans
Vicky
for not telling me this.
So Vicky Monholland. I don't
Yes,
know her.
Vicky.
Yeah.
Yes, Vicky.
I don't know her from Adam, but
Oh,
I
I
show
do.
up to do this show because Hans asked me to. Most people are in like 2 scenes and then they
freaking
have
love
like
Hans.
an
Hans and
hour
Beth
and then
are
they're like in the
amazing.
finale. Vicky puts me in 12 different characters. So
What?
I'm on stage
So
more
you're not-
than the
you're-
leads of the show.
You're not even like cast as the
Oh my gosh!
the
no.
guy with the
'Cause
hump. Or
all of
anything.
those guys are already cast. This
Yeah.
is now we've cast it, and oh my gosh, we don't have any men to do any of the chorus stuff.
Oh,
so
that's
who can we get?
hilarious.
So I go in, and literally, guys, I was on stage more than those people.
That's
And it was
amazing.
hilarious. I had a great time. Vicky and I became great friends. I
Oh,
ended up doing
Vicky's
some
so amazing.
choreography for the show because the choreographer was brand new. She'd never done a show before.
Honestly,
and-
the entire Oregon Community Theater is just
They're
amazing.
great. Yeah, we love them.
I love them.
oh, thanks. And
You were. What do you mean? Thanks. You can take credit
it's because
for
of
them.
me. It's because of me. But, I'm like the worst person to have in a cast because all of a sudden, like, one of my characters has glitter that he throws every time he comes on stage. Oh, yeah. I have to be the center
you're
of attention.
extra.
Always has to be extra. But,
Hey, where's that glitter coming from?
well, exactly. They couldn't get rid
It's a
of it.
podcast. We don't have to see that.
The amount of hands flying in this podcast is crazy. I love it.
So Joe Barton comes to see
I
that show.
love Joe.
So Joe is doing cabaret at the time. Mm-hmm. And he just lost his choreographer. Bob had something happen. He couldn't
Bob Marzola couldn't do the show.
couldn't finish it. He started it but couldn't finish it. Joe meets me. He finds out I'm a
Wait,
Fosse
Bob
dancer.
Alicia started the show and couldn't do it?
He like taught half the choreography and then
I'm
couldn't
guessing it was
finish it.
something to do with his boy.
Something or school. I don't know. Something happened. So Joe asks me to finish the choreography. Well, I'm a Fosse dancer.
Joe never, or Bob never bails out.
I know.
That's so character out of him.
So I'm a Fosse dancer. So I go in and teach all the original choreography to this cabaret team. And so they do a cabaret. They love it.
Once again, 127 mutual friends. How do I not know you?
I wasn't there. Go back down to Florida for the winter. Again, connections, keeping in touch with people. I come back last season, and I end up doing choreography for Cinderella for go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I want to hear you say
I do Cinderella choreography for Vicky.
Okay.
Because of Cabaret, Evan James Copeland
Yep.
is doing
Nonsense.
Nonsense.
I knew it. I knew you did Nonsense. I knew it.
And so he asked me to choreograph Nonsense, which I came in and
you
did.
did Nonsense too.
And then Joe Barton asked me to choreograph Something Rotten. So I do 3 shows overlapping each other. Like I'm going from one rehearsal to the other rehearsal to the other rehearsal to a show.
So we had Nonsense on, and they mentioned you, and I was like, "Wait a minute,
my
what?
girls! Oh, I love that cast. They were so good.
They were nuts. I loved them.
I love them.
I love them on the podcast.
We had so much fun, and it was the craziest rehearsal because of my schedule. We taught choreography first before they even learned music. But there's 5 girls in the show, and only 3 could be in rehearsal. I never even rehearsed with one girl.
Who was that? Do you know the name?
Yes. What's the soprano that everyone loves here in town? God, I love Jen.
Jen Braun.
Yep, Jen Braun.
Yeah. She didn't come on the podcast either. She was the only one of the nuns
She's
that didn't
snooty.
come on.
That Jen Braun, she's just snooty. Kidding, I love her to death.
She's really good.
She's amazing.
She's really good, but I feel like she's always busy.
She's always busy.
Yeah.
She's always working. It's amazing. So I did the rehearsal first. Then I had to go do Something Rotten.
We can crap talk her. I don't know if she even follows our podcast.
Exactly. And then I came back to the show because Jen and Mother Abbess was now there. So it got them all settled. And then I went back to Something Rotten. Oh, it was crazy. It was a crazy year, but I loved it. I had so much fun. Went back down to Florida, and then I'm here this year, and I have nothing.
I will always, forever have a soft spot for Joe Barton.
Oh, I love my Joe
He's
Barton.
just the guy.
I am mad at him because, prom is like my short list of the show that I want to choreograph, but he gave it to Bob.
Well, Bob's his man. I mean, you got to give him.
No.
Yeah.
I love that Joe is dedicated to him.
Maybe Bob will drop out again and you can take it.
No, the funny thing is, yesterday I went and auditioned for Barry Glickman. So
who's Barry Glickman?
He's the lead of the show. James Corden role of the movie. Yeah.
You auditioned for 3B Productions?
To be in the show.
But you're like a Broadway guy.
Well, so when
have a
Why
Broadway
is
in
that
Toledo.
fair? Why is that fair? You're a jerk. How you're gonna you're on Broadway.
There are
and
no
you're
guarantees for anybody. There are no guarantees that I'm going to be in the show. I had to audition like everyone else.
Yeah, come on.
I had to dance with 7 high school students. Okay?
Really?
Come on.
Okay,
How is that
but
fair?
I'm just gonna say that you are Barry Glickman. I'm just
I'm a little
saying
bit. I'm a
that
little
if Joe doesn't cast you, it's ridiculous.
Could we put that out there, please, on this podcast? Everyone,
it's
please
ridiculous.
call
Get
Joe
on board
Barton.
for that.
You are
And tell him who should
exactly
be.
the right person for it, though. Why would they not cast you? That doesn't make any sense.
Well, they haven't decided yet, Kyle.
All right.
They're having auditions as we speak.
I've decided that.
Well,
What if it comes
it's
down to
a
me and
grow your own
Ward
version.
Ensign? What's going to happen? I don't know.
Ward, that That guy, Ward, huh? Yeah, he's always 1 year older than you. He might get it. Yeah.
Have one more year of experience.
Oh, that Ward inside. Every time.
He's the bane of Jacob's existence. Yeah. So he's your what is he?
He's my nemesis.
Yeah. What was he in the show again? West Side.
Oh, he was my Tony.
Oh,
Tony's in my
Tony
riff.
To your riff. Oh yeah.
Every time.
Jerk.
So here we are,
So
you
like
know.
for things to do. That's why you came and talked to us.
I came to you because I'm trying to get work.
We're trying to.
Oh really? Honestly, I have. I mean, if we were being honest, which I like to be, it's like I messaged this guy like 20 times. I feel like I felt
You're
like
here
borderline
just to
harassing.
shut him
Well,
up.
that's just because I wasn't here. I was down in Florida.
I know, but I'm always
know.
like, hey, just checking in
Just checking.
again. Not
But I
trying
always
to be a
respond, right?
You did,
Okay.
but I'm always kind of like, you're not the only one. I do this with some people who are kind of big deals. I'm always like, hey,
this is
are
my
you
fault. I'm
around?
the one who found you first. So
See? Exactly. I'm here because
I
of
sick
you.
the dog on him.
And I'm always like, hey, still want to have you on. Are you still like interested in talking to these little peons in Toledo?
I am. And now that you know
Wait a
me,
minute.
if there's ever a time that you don't have a sidekick, I will come in and be your sidekick.
Oh,
now
I
we're-
love it.
now we're
I
rocking.
love it because Tom is busy.
You know, Tom is busy.
He is busy, and Ron has got a wife.
Well, football
who says-
season's coming up. Ron's got a wife.
Got to arrive.
And she's like, nah, you can't come in. And Tom's like, I got basketball and football I gotta go do. So I'm like, so I do solo these from time to time.
He has done solo a few times.
Yeah, but if you want to do
I
stuff,
would
I'd
love
love
to.
to have you on. You got quite the
I will
personality.
always
if,
come and ask
if Ron
questions.
gets the part he's going out for, Ron can be the guest and you can
Interview Ron.
interview Ron.
Yeah,
will set
no,
him
we
up
could
for
do
failure
that.
is
Be
what
like,
I'll do.
Yeah. Be like, why would they cast you in Hunchback
Why
of
do you
Notre
think they
Dane
cast you?
when it seems like a problem?
Ward should have the job.
Yeah. It seems like you're not good enough, Ron. I'm just saying. You know, I've heard you sing in the
that's
office, and honestly, I closed my door.
Wow. That's all a lie.
Exactly.
I mean, he does sing in the office, but he doesn't.
He does sing it now. He's got like
fine.
musical
He's-
Tourette's. He
he
just
does.
sings stuff like, Ron, for God's sakes, for the 100th time today, I've heard the Hunchback
He goes
song.
into those knowing the whole thing. though.
Yeah, he's insane.
overly
That's smart.
prepared. It's
overly
really good.
prepared, really ready.
Which
to
is why
go.
he's played
everything.
Edward Bean and Titanic
Yeah,
musical.
he just knows the whole show before he goes in.
played
Yeah,
Adam's
he's just
Family
happy
played Gomez.
being anything.
I know.
honestly.
So he's
So, but it's not about Ron. It's about Jacob.
It's about me.
This is true.
Yeah, it's about Jacob.
So I'm still here. I'm still active. You know, Mary Brucker and I are in talks about something she's doing in January. I think she's announced it already. I think
What is it?
Finding Nemo.
Finding Nemo for where?
I believe for the kids
Oregon.
in Oregon.
What Eisenhower? What is it? I don't think it's
Oregon.
something-
Just go with Oregon.
No, because Oregon Community Theater's not doing.
No, it's not Oregon Community Theater. It's Mary's production. What is her company called?
Ram?
Yes.
Ram Drama.
Yes.
So Ram Drama
took
which
off
is-
last year.
which we're not going to promote that much because it's not open to the community.
I hate that.
We don't hate them. We
But-
love that there's there's
an outlet, right?
No, I cannot overemphasize enough how much love there is for theater in this area,
Yeah.
and the fact that like
I'm
Oregon
amazed at how
has
many like little theater companies there are, you know, because there's always
lot.
someone doing something around here.
100%.
It's amazing.
100%. Like we've already said, there's a podcast. Even we're so like loving of theater.
We've actually had to turn people down.
Really?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's great.
We were like
Yeah.
Jacob Toth. Let's
get him out.
Yeah.
Let's bring Ward Ensign instead.
I mean, who's Tony, right?
Ward
I mean,
Ensign.
we're gonna have Tony on. We got Riff. Why would we have him on? Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Please.
I love the fact that you were just this dude in Oregon who just wanted to do theater.
Yeah.
And why did you not have any training? No. Why did you not do dance? Why?
Because it all came so easy to me. At that time I didn't know, or I didn't think that being cocky at 12 years of age,
Yeah, 12.
I didn't know that I could learn anything, you know? I mean, to be honest, think about dance schools at that time. We didn't have a lot of opportunity
in
here.
1987.
1980s, yeah. Because I was a drum major at Clay High School, our drum major and majorette teacher was Shirley Brewer. I don't know if you remember Shirley Brewer in the
Nope.
School of Dance.
I wasn't up here. I was in
You-
Lakota down in
You
Kansas,
probably would
Ohio.
know. You would know.
I'm in Cleveland.
But she's was a relative of Teresa Brewer.
Oh, yeah. The same.
Put another
Oh, yeah.
nickel in
Wow.
the Nickelodeon. Do you even know the song at all?
Yes.
No.
No, you
Yes.
don't.
Oh, absolutely.
I didn't
So
have
Teresa
cable
Brewer
TV. I lived in
is
the
a-
country.
Was a big name. And
It's black
Shirley
and white
was a sister.
movies. You don't understand anything past earlier
It's
than
black and
19
white, then forget it.
Yeah, early in
exactly.
1970.
It's lame.
So Shirley Brewer had a school of dance in Baton.
Okay.
And so I would go and do my drum major stuff there because I twirled. That's high school.
What?
Drum major was always a twirling
How were you
person.
not beat up in high school?
Because I started out on the football team and I got hurt and I decided to
Oh.
become the drum major instead.
You were the drum major and you twirled?
I did.
I
I even
got-
twirled fire.
Listen,
I got
I
hurt
wish
myself
I
when you
knew
became a
about
sousaphone
any of
player.
this stuff in high school because all we had was like 85% sports.
Oh.
And so when I came up to the University of Toledo and I saw like art and theater and I sat at a what is a string quartet, I was like, oh my gosh, I was blown away. So I wish I had this stuff
I guess
growing
that,
up.
Crazy.
You were
as it
lucky that
sounds,
you had that.
growing up in
opportunity.
Oregon and at Clay High School, we had, Charlie Neal running the music department with Fred Schmidt, and he had a huge band. And
Right.
so we had a great art department.
Some of the stuff
Then on
is,
the other
is
end of the
you're
spectrum,
lucky that
we
you
had
have it.
FFA and we had the kids that were working in the auto shop and we had
Right,
kids
right,
on
right.
college track. We had the cosmetology girls over there. We
But you had
everything.
this big mix of stuff, and where
Yeah.
I was going, it was like that wasn't really a thing.
Yeah, we didn't
So
really have
being
those
exposed
cliques that
to
a lot of high schools have, like the nerds and the band geeks and all that. Yes, we were those people, but we got along with everybody. We didn't
That's
have a lot
great.
of, it was a great place to grow up.
That is great because you were a big enough school that you had enough, and you were right next to Toledo.
Yeah.
We
we came to Wake to play them, we came.
Right, and you had
out
the
here to
art
Bowser Hall.
museum,
Oh,
and
yeah.
you had
Absolutely.
the symphony, and you had these things
Yeah.
that were opportunities that
Absolutely.
that people from a more rural environment didn't have.
Right.
That's big.
Yeah.
As much as you don't even
Well, and I
know
think
it
there,
is.
believe it or not, I think that had some influence on me wanting to get out and do, because I had been exposed to that stuff.
Right, you had enough, but not enough.
Exactly.
You're like, oh, I had a taste, but I didn't know it was out there.
Right.
I know there's more, as opposed to my
Right.
experience where it's like, oh, Toledo, oh, that's really cool. That was exciting. You wanted more.
Absolutely.
You wanted more. You're like, let me go see. New York was, I can't even fathom going to New York at 18 years old.
Well,
living there.
yeah.
what we didn't talk about because it's not part of the whole theater thing, but
no, I
believe
like
it or
all
not,
of
when I first started out here, I went to the Margaret O'Brien School of Modeling.
Nice.
What?
Yes,
What's that?
I was a male model here in
I can
Toledo,
believe it.
Ohio.
You're really attractive,
God
so I
bless
can
you.
believe that. I can believe it.
So-
You're really dreamy.
Well,
so
in
yeah.
theory, it's still around. It's just Starbound.
Oh, I didn't know. 'Cause
yeah,
Margaret's not
it
around.
is.
I believe
Okay.
Starbound
It
bought
is
out the Margaret.
Starbound,
Okay.
yes.
So it was run by this woman named Margaret O'Brien, who was
Right.
here in town.
No, it's Starbound. You're
and
right.
Margaret took me to New York City when I was in junior high to this modeling competition.
Wow, Wendy.
That
Wendy runs
I was
Starbound.
like
Wendy does, yeah.
in second place. I had boss
Second place.
Yes.
Wow.
Boss,
See, I told you, people. This guy's really hot.
Boss Modeling Agency.
Boss.
Actually, they
Boss
did.
is a big deal.
I know. They kept me in New York City for the summer. My mom left me there. And
What?
In junior high, I lived in this apartment in New York City. Oh my God.
What?
It was the most amazing
How are you
experience.
not molested? What the?
Listen!
Well, I mean, seriously, what the heck? Your mom left you there?
Well, I mean, she had a big personal struggle with it, but she did because
Oh
she
my
knew
God.
And I had that experience. So going into it, I just
It might have helped when you went back.
it
That
really
you-
did. It had
Yeah.
Wow.
things just fell into place for me to be where I am, I think.
That is huge.
Yeah.
That just to have the worldly knowledge, it didn't occur to me in life to do anything
Yeah.
that you're doing. So
Well-
in 1991, you went to Kings Island,
Yeah.
you went to college, you did this. I'm going to audition for
Royal Caribbean.
Royal
Cruise Lines.
Caribbean. And I'm just a dummy.
and- Not just you, but there were 3 boys, Joey, Jacob, and Jason. My brothers didn't do any of that. My parents,
Oh, you're one of 4 kids? Is that what you're saying?
three boys.
Okay.
Yep. And my parents didn't really, because my parents weren't performers. I mean, they were.
But your
performers.
grandma was a dancer, and
She
that's
was.
how you owe
That's
everything
true.
to her.
We love grandma.
But mom and dad didn't know. I'm telling them, oh, I'm leaving on this cruise ship. You're not going to be able to speak to me for the next 6 months, but I'll send you a letter once in a while.
Well, it's 1991. Good luck,
exactly.
sucker.
You know what? They're going to be upset now knowing that you only worked like 4 days and you didn't
I
send
know.
that many letters.
But you know what? They
4
got to
hours.
They used to,
Okay,
4
let's be
hours a week.
specific. He didn't work 4 days. He worked 4 hours.
but at that time, as an employee of Royal Caribbean, my parents got to come whenever they wanted.
Oh,
They had to
I
pay
would get
for their
over-
flight, but they could
Yeah, but-
sail for anywhere from $15 to $25 a day. That's all they had to pay.
What?
Yes. That was one of our perks of being employees.
Wow. Do you think that's a thing?
It is still a thing. I don't know that it's that cheap, but it is cheap.
It's still cheaper.
Yeah, I'd have got over the effect of no
Oh,
letters.
yeah. My parents have
pretty
been...
Slightly.
My mom and dad have gotten to go to Australia and
yeah.
to Bali
That's- yeah,
and
no
to
problem.
Singapore.
Bali? I don't even... In India?
And Indonesia.
Is that where that is? Bali, Indonesia? I thought it
Indonesia,
was
yeah.
in India. I
No,
don't even
no,
know where
it's a small
Bali
island
is.
between...
Hey, watch South Pacific sometime, okay?
I'm such such an Ohio white guy.
It's
I don't even know
okay.
what crap is.
Yeah. Well, like I tell you, I don't believe my brothers even own passports. So
Still don't own.
I don't
I'm
think
like
so. I
spinning
don't
all over
know.
the mic. I'm just like, like how do they not own passports
I
if
don't
they
know.
can take advantage of
well,
this?
lives are different, even
Yeah.
within a family,
Yeah,
they
no,
they have families
totally.
and kids.
I got
and-
guys. I got
So, it has been an amazing career, and it's not over. I'm waiting for what's next.
You're only 51. You got a million things to do still.
Absolutely.
Ron's almost 65.
He's 105. He's
105
basically
and still trying out for
And if he gets Barry
Yeah.
Glickman over me, I'm going to kill myself.
Well, it'd be real impressive if he got Barry Glickman in Hunchback.
Yeah, that'd be impressive.
Even
if he
better.
got-
That would be impressive.
That
would
would
be
be his
Toledo
aura.
Rep is doing Hunchback, right? No, who's
No,
doing
Perrysburg.
Perrysburg
Okay.
is doing it. Yeah. So what's the big amazing thing you think you're going to do yet? You're not in New York anymore. You're going to be doing
What's
some,
next?
After this podcast, there.
I mean, honestly, right now, just everything that you have done is just crazy. It's just amazing what you've done.
There's been
I love that you've done these
amazing
crazy
experiences.
things, but it's all like, to me, like I said in the beginning, it's a inspiration or a goal for people who live in Findlay, Toledo,
Yeah, I want
Wauseon.
everyone out there to know that, anyone can do this. Don't
Yeah.
ever let anyone tell you that you can't or you're
Right.
not good enough.
Right.
You just
You
have
had
to keep
no
at
equity.
It.
You sucked.
I
And
I
then
hadn't
you just
even had a
kept
dance
doing-
lesson. Please.
Right, you had no dance lessons. You had no equity. You just kept pushing and pushing and pushing and showing up to 300 auditions
Absolutely.
in a year and a half, which is already crazy.
and
to
then
me
going and
that-
cater waitering every night.
cater waitering.
Shrimp. You
Right.
want some shrimp?
Yeah, and just putting it together and just
Absolutely.
trying and trying and trying to just do this. I'm seriously impressed with you.
Thank you.
I mean, really, it's
I
not
have
a
I
normal
have to
life
thank my
of
parents again.
Really?
I do, because
Okay.
they were so supportive. They never told me, no, you can't do this, or, Jacob, New York's not for you, or they just said, yes, go do it.
Would you like to hold an award while you're saying this?
I
I
just
like to
don't.
thank my mother and father.
Just grab the
and
air off
my
the wall.
Two brothers.
It sounds so corny, but, again, growing up here in the Midwest, I don't know that I could have done it if I didn't have the upbringing that I did.
No, I agree with that.
Nice.
Because there is a hardworking attitude,
There's an ethic that we're taught from a very early age.
which is just be a good person.
Be a good person.
Be a good
all it
person,
takes.
and
Don't
you
suck.
never know. Don't be a giant a-hole.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, that's great, man. Thanks for coming
Thank
on,
you
man.
guys for having me. This is so
great.
much fun.
Yeah. You
you
drink
might-
all your drink?
And you might hear him
it'll be much
again.
more.
in this position.
I would love that.
In what position? Oh yeah, next
in my
I'm going to
chair.
replace
Chair
Tom
number
with
2.
Jacob. Exactly, it'll be great.
God, you won't be able to
I will
talk.
ask the hard-hitting questions. I'll be the Barbara Walters that makes everyone
Oh
cry.
no! Oh no!
Just getting into the root of it. you
We'll
know?
have Amy on, and then she'll just cry. Amy hearing, she'll be like,
Yes.
just grill her
I
really
got
hard.
bad news
like,
right now. We're not equity.
I love it.
no pay.
I love it.
No pay for this
Well,
podcast.
you do get to drink though.
That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, free drink. Enjoy.
I'm in.
Bye.